So the idea for today's video was inspired by this video, how you can live off dividends much faster with SCHD plus JEPI. Awesome video, by the way, I'll leave it linked down below. But one of his main talking points in the video is how SCHD and JEPI make for almost an unbeatable combination for the average dividend investor. And that sounded like a challenge to me. And it's not just that video. In the dividend community right now, SCHD and JEPI kind of dominate the conversation. I mean, if you come to r/dividends, it really doesn't take long to find JEPI and SCHD being mentioned. Now, I should mention at the top that I am a big fan of both SCHD and JEPI. They really do work excellently together. JEPI is a great way to boost dividend income. They have a massive dividend yield thanks to their unique ELN covered call strategy. And when you combine that with SCHD, which is a traditional market cap weighted index fund of high quality dividend paying companies, it's a great combination. So if we want a chance at beating SCHD and JEPI, we're gonna have to bring out the big guns, and that's exactly what I think I've done here. So let's jump into the video. If you guys enjoy, I always appreciate a like, subscribing for more content in the future, and let's get into this. All right, so the first thing I want to point out here is that I'm splitting these names up into two categories. The pure equity dividend ETFs on this side, which is what SCHD is, and then these use covered calls, much like JEPI, to boost their dividend yield. So any combination, in order to stay on theme, is going to have to be one pure equity and one hybrid covered call fund. On the pure equity side, these are the names I think can go toe-to-toe with SCHD. Beginning with DIVB, this is a US dividend and share buyback ETF. Unfortunately, this fund doesn't have the highest dividend yield ever, but the price appreciation makes up for that with great total returns. The next name here is a similar ticker, DIVZ, and this is much closer to SCHD. So DIVZ has a dividend yield almost identical to SCHD, over 3% at the current moment. The fund is composed of many very recognizable great dividend companies, and as you would expect, the total return is very competitive. And we also have VYM simply due to its popularity and its great long-term steady returns. Now on the hybrid side, we have DIVO. You guys know I love this ETF. They focus on dividend growth companies with an active covered call strategy, and that helps DIVO to have a dividend yield of over 5%. When compared to JEPI, that still is quite a bit less than its dividend, but do be aware that this current yield of 12% is most likely not sustainable, and the average is going to be more like 7%. After DIVO, we have XYLG, and I kind of have a soft spot for this ETF. I love that it's systematic. So this covers half of the S&P 500 index with at-the-money covered calls every single month, and the other half is free to appreciate with the rest of the market. And then finally, we have the King, ticker KNG. They focus on S&P 500 dividend aristocrats with an actively managed covered call strategy. And to be honest, I only recently discovered this ETF, and it has amazing returns. I'm kind of shocked. All right, so that's the players in the field. I think the next best thing we can do here is take a look at the performance side by side, beginning with the pure equities. So this is what the side by side total return looks like for VYM, DIVB, SCHD, the S&P 500 in blue as the controlled benchmark, and then DIVZ in orange. On this long time frame, SCHD in purple actually does have the best overall performance. But in my opinion, aside from just looking at the total return, it's also very important to look at the characteristics of the fund and how it behaves in different market environments. And to do that, as well as include DIVZ into the calculation, I'm going to go ahead and change the time frame. All right, so now the time frame is more compressed, and I like this view because half of this is during a bull market and the other half is during a bear market. If you guys want, feel free to pause the video and really analyze this, because this view, in my opinion, reveals a lot about these funds. So for example, here in the green color, we have DIVB, and it performed great during a bull market. It was the #1 performing fund at this time, but it didn't hold up quite as well during the bear market, and the position kind of reversed. And just in general, that's a trend I've noticed. What goes up the most also tends to go down the most. So do keep that in mind when shopping around for different investments. But in general, all of these performed extremely well, beating the S&P 500 during this confined time period. All right, now moving on to the second cohort of the covered call enhanced hybrid dividend ETFs, we have XYLG, JEPI. This is the mutual fund version because the history goes back a bit further. DIVO, KNG, and then again the S&P 500 in blue as the benchmark. Again, we have a similar view of half of this performance being during a bull market, the other half being during a bear market. And you're going to notice that in comparison to the other options, these are all very closely correlated, but you still can make out some differences. So for example, JEPI is this purple line, and during the bull market, it was the worst performing fund. Since then, it has done a slightly better job than average on holding on to its value, but still not anything special as of right now. One of the names that's really catching my attention here is the red line, as well as the green line. They're both very similar, and these had some of the best performance during the bull market, and they continue to have some of the best performance during this more challenging bear market. And when looking at the physical return here, DIVO and KNG have by far the best returns when compared to the other options. All right, so after analyzing that data, I think the combination here that has the best chance at beating SCHD and JEPI at their own game is DIVZ and KNG. If we come back to Portfolio Visualizer and input these two names as a dedicated portfolio, this is how it stacks up against Portfolio 1, which is SCHD and JEPI in blue. So the time frame is a little bit compressed due to the young age of DIVZ, but even so, this portfolio we created in red does have superior returns. Since the beginning of the bear market, where the data begins, this combo has a CAGR of negative 2.39. At the same time, the S&P lost 13%, and SCHD and JEPI lost almost 4%. But when it comes to the percentage of that return paid to you in the form of dividends, SCHD and JEPI still have the clear advantage, beating it in terms of income generation. But anyway you slice it, DIVZ and KNG are a fantastic combination that could easily compete with SCHD and JEPI. Another good alternative here, if you want to have a bit more income, is to go with DIVO instead of KNG, because the dividend yield in DIVO is about 1% more than KNG. And if you don't care as much about the dividend yield, DIVB might be a more attractive choice to you because they also focus on companies that do stock buybacks. But you guys let me know in the comments below, is this a better combination than the classic SCHD and JEPI? Or is there a better combination that I've yet to cover? If you guys enjoyed, I always appreciate a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.